Welcome back. My name is David Hopper, and this is part of a larger series of videos that follow the alphabet from A to Z to help us launch new ministries, new campuses, and new churches. Today, we are talking about H, home-based groups. Now, the image I want you to have in your mind for this particular letter is fellowship around a dinner table. This goes back to a core principle that is all about people. No matter what you're doing, no matter what you're launching, people are going to be your most important, valuable, and life-giving asset to whatever you're doing. Go out of your way to lift people up, create relationship, and invest into teams if you want to be successful. Doing life alone, it's not natural. Even if you call yourself an introvert and you joke that you'd love to be alone, stranded on a desert island forever, it's not true. Trust me, I know, because I have that similar thought process in my mind. It describes me to a T. So I went off for days alone, hiding in the wilderness. I traveled for weeks alone. And you know what I constantly thought about? People. I would always be thinking, I would love to share this with someone. I'm an introvert, so daily I have to have that time alone and collect my thoughts, but it is in relationship where those thoughts come to life. This is why we must build home groups, fellowship around the dinner table in whatever we're building. To launch great things, big things, things that will last, you have to, on a weekly basis, connect your teams to other people like them. Connect them around a dinner table. It promotes eating together, breaking bread, real discussion, brainstorming, real friendship. As you facilitate these kind of groups, you will have allies in whatever you're building. Hebrews 10:24 says, "And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds. Let us not give up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but let us encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching." One of my favorite things to do in this whole world is go to Disneyland. I know not everyone loves that, and as I stated earlier, I'm a bit of an introvert, so it's odd that I would love such a crowded place on a weekly basis. I mean that. But I am truly fascinated by watching people seeking joy. They're so excited as they approach each fantasy, and they always do the same thing. I've seen it over and over and over again. They see something cool, and then they turn to their family, young and old, and say, "Did you see that?" See, we experience life in the greatest way as we do it together, through the eyes of the other person. Did you see that? We want to experience the best of life, but we want to do it with others. It completes the magic. It's important for us to understand the way people first approach your new church, your new ministry. Does this make me feel good? Do I like the way they do music? Do I relate to this speaker? Do my kids like it? It's take. It really bothers me because nothing in the entire Bible really works this way or says that. Not one story has that kind of example within it, at least not the right side of the story. And yet this is the way people shop for a church. The first thought everyone should have if they're reading the Bible is, how can I serve here? How can I live out my spiritual gifts here? Where can I connect people to Jesus here? Basically a bunch of things that I've never seen on someone's visitor card, right? But I have to put that aside in my head and realize we have been indoctrinated by a world that takes every day. This is just the way it is. So as we plug people into home groups quickly, that's where real conversation happens, real teaching happens, real purpose begins, and the mindset of those helping you build this new thing completely changes. You have to do it fast. Otherwise, whatever you're building is just a transaction for people, something they can take from, and you'll be disappointed in those results. This moves people much faster from a take mindset to a giving mindset. They begin to learn how to give, how to share, how to show this love of God, how to invite others into it. In a home group, that giving mindset becomes the norm. Here's your homework. I want you this week to invite 2 couples or 2 families to your home for dinner. I try to create a house with about 10 adults. I usually get about 8 because it eliminates those awkward conversations. If you only have one couple and it doesn't click, which does happen, you have to, deal with that all night long. But if you have a buffer of 2 or 3 couples and there's that one adult that may not quite click, their personality might be a little different, no problem, because you have a few people there to buffer that out. I also try to have some kind of fun game early in the night, creates an atmosphere of fun, lightens some of that early awkwardness. My general plan, in case you need a schedule, is it begins with an appetizer, we go into a game, and then we have dessert. Even though I call this dinner for 10, it's a dinner. I'm inviting people over for dinner. I never actually do a sit-down dinner because that's where you create some awkwardness in a formal setting. So after a lot of practice, I've been doing this for a really long time, I learned an appetizer is a great time for conversation. A game is a great time for conversation. And dessert, that's when the greatest conversations happen. So why not just do those 3 parts? So that's all I do now. So this week, you need to get out there and find 2 or 3 couples you can invite to your house. And I say start this week because you're scheduling it for next week or the week after. So you've got to get on this right away. And if you feel like your home's too small, then you can use a restaurant. But it does make the game much more difficult. One thing to remember, Genesis 2:18 says this, "Then the Lord God said, it is not good for man to be alone." What a profound thought that God created the entire world, and it's stunning. Then God created man, most fascinating thing of all time. This man is able to think, work, create, feel, and so much more. And God says early on, right here at the beginning, you know what? It's not good. It's not good for man to be alone. We cannot miss the magnitude of this prophetic word. God's saying in no uncertain terms that we are not meant to be alone. We're meant to experience all this good, the world He created, the people He created. We're supposed to experience it with others. Now, our relationship with God, it grows as we experience life with others. Is it any surprise that the enemy, Satan himself, has waged an all-out war against marriages, relationships, families, and friendships? Of course. He wants us to think that we do not need each other and we're just as well off by ourselves. But he's a liar. His attack is on something that God saw within the first few seconds of creating the earth, or minutes or days or however that worked out. Ecclesiastes 4:9 says this, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their work. If one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. Also, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, 2 can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. One of my best friends in high school, he always quoted this verse. It was hilarious. At the time, I just thought it was funny because it seemed like such a random verse from the Old Testament that he would quote randomly all the time. But as I continued on in life, I thought about it often. There's something about high school that really creates deep relationships that usually last forever. We are with each other on a daily basis. We eat lunch together. We have fun together. We grow together. And through that process, we create fellowship that is incredible. It is so sad that as we go to college and we move on with our careers, we don't adopt these same God-given fellowship principles in our lives. We need to work harder to keep this habit of fellowship in our lives on a weekly basis. People who do life together, grow together, eat together, have fun together, we need this. And next time, we'll be talking about I, which is individuality, which seems weird after this video, but I'll explain more next time.